Deep in the heart of a bustling suburb, where manicured lawns meet whispering woods, lived a raccoon named Rocky. Now, Rocky wasn't just any raccoon. He had a glint in his eye that promised adventure, and a twitch in his whiskers that signaled pure, unadulterated mischief. His home was a cozy hollow in an ancient oak tree, but his real kingdom was the neighborhood that slumbered peacefully around him. Our story begins just as the sun dips below the horizon, painting the sky in shades of orange and purple. For most creatures, this is a time to wind down. For Rocky, it's when the fun truly begins. With a mighty stretch and a yawn that showed off all his pointy teeth, he scampered down his oak tree, his paws making soft thuds on the bark. His mission tonight? The legendary treasure trove of the humans, also known as the Peterson family's trash cans. The Petersons were known throughout the raccoon community for having the most exquisite leftovers. Last week, it was half a pizza. The week before, an almost full bag of potato chips. Rocky's stomach rumbled just thinking about it. He moved with the grace of a shadow, his striped tail held high like a banner of his nocturnal quest. The air was cool, carrying the scent of freshly cut grass and the distant hum of a late-night TV show. He reached the edge of the woods and peered out. The coast was clear. The Petersons' house stood like a giant sleeping beast, its windows dark save for a single light in the living room. And there they were, standing like two proud sentinels by the side of the garage, the green and blue trash cans. The jackpot. Rocky scurried across the lawn, his little heart thumping with excitement. He was an expert at this. A gentle nudge here, a little push there, and he was on his hind legs, his clever front paws working on the lid of the green bin. But wait, something was different tonight. The lid was heavier. It was secured. Mr. Peterson had finally wised up and bought one of those fancy raccoon-proof bungee cords. A challenge. Rocky seemed to chitter to himself. He wasn't deterred. He was inspired. He pulled, he gnawed, he yanked. The bungee cord stretched but held firm. He tried a different tactic, circling the bin, looking for a weak spot. He was so focused on his task that he didn't notice a pair of bright eyes watching him from the bushes. It was Luna, a sleek black cat from next door. She watched Rocky struggle with an air of sophisticated amusement. Finally, she let out a soft meow. Rocky jumped, startled, nearly falling off the bin. He saw Luna, her tail twitching lazily. "Having trouble there, Bandit?" She seemed to purr. Rocky gave her a look that was part annoyance, part desperation. He chattered back, explaining the dire situation of the bungee cord and the delicious treasures locked within. Luna, being a creature of comfort, and not one for manual labor, simply flicked an ear. She knew of easier ways to get a meal. She gave a little nod toward the back of the house, where a small cat door was installed in the patio screen. An alliance? Unheard of. But desperation breeds strange friendships. Rocky, ever the opportunist, understood immediately. A new plan formed in his brilliant, mischievous mind. He followed Luna to the back patio. The cat door was tiny, meant for a slender feline, not a well-fed raccoon, but Rocky was nothing if not determined. He took a deep breath, sucked in his fluffy belly, and began to squeeze. It was a tight fit. First his head, then his shoulders. He wiggled and squirmed, his striped tail flapping wildly outside. Luna watched, looking utterly unimpressed. Finally, with a soft asterisk pop asterisk, he was through, tumbling onto the Peterson screened-in porch. Success. He found himself in a new world. Wicker furniture, potted plants, and the faint, intoxicating smell of barbecue sauce. His nose led him to a small table next to the grill, and there it was. A plate forgotten from the afternoon's cookout with a single glorious chicken wing glistening under the porch light. It was more beautiful than any half-eaten pizza. He grabbed his prize, his heart soaring with triumph. Now for the escape. Getting out was proving just as tricky as getting in. He tried to back out, but the chicken wing got in the way. He tried to turn around, but the space was too narrow. Just as panic began to set in, he heard a sound from inside the house. A doorknob turning. Mr. Peterson was coming out. Rocky froze, chicken wing still in his mouth. The door opened and a sliver of light cut across the porch. Mr. Peterson stepped out, yawning, to check if he'd left the grill on. In that split second, Rocky saw his chance. He dropped the wing, bolted past Mr. Peterson's legs, and shot out the open door into the yard. He didn't stop running until he was back in the safety of the woods, his heart hammering against his ribs. He'd failed to secure the chicken wing and the trash cans remained unconquered. But the thrill of the adventure, the close call, the unlikely alliance with Luna, it was exhilarating. He looked back at the house, where Mr. Peterson was now staring at the abandoned chicken wing on his porch, utterly bewildered. Rocky let out a happy little chitter. He may have lost the battle for the chicken wing, but the night was still young. His adventure wasn't over. Emboldened by his narrow escape, he decided to visit his next favorite spot, the bird feeder in Mrs. Gable's garden. Mrs. Gable took pride in her plump, well-fed birds, which meant her feeder was always stocked with the finest sunflower seeds and suet cakes. For a raccoon, it was a 5-star buffet. Getting to the feeder was an acrobatic feat. It hung from a tall, thin metal pole designed to be squirrel-proof. But Rocky was no squirrel. He was a master of physics. He backed up, took a running start, and launched himself at the pole. His claws found purchase, and he began to shimmy his way up, his body swinging around the pole like a little acrobat. He reached the top, victorious, and peered into the feeder. A feast. He hung upside down by his back feet, using his nimble front paws to scoop handfuls of seeds into his mouth. He was so engrossed in his banquet that he didn't hear the soft asterisk click asterisk of a window opening. Mrs. Gable, woken by the rattling of her precious bird feeder, was watching him. But instead of being angry, she was charmed. She grabbed her phone, quietly filming the fluffy bandit's acrobatic antics. "Oh, you little rascal," she whispered with a smile. Rocky, oblivious, continued his feast, showering the ground below with seeds. After getting his fill, he slid back down the pole with a satisfied sigh. His belly was full, and his spirit of adventure was soaring. What next? The night was full of possibilities. He decided to take a stroll by the community pond, where the frogs sang a nightly chorus. The moonlight shimmered on the water's surface. Rocky sat at the edge, dipping his paws in the cool water, washing the stickiness of the suet from them. It was a moment of peace in his otherwise chaotic night. He watched the fireflies blink on and off, tiny lanterns lighting up the darkness. Suddenly, a splash. A large bullfrog leaped onto a lily pad nearby, letting out a deep, resonant ribbit. Rocky, ever the playful creature, chittered back. The frog, intrigued, replied. Soon, a bizarre but harmonious duet echoed across the pond, the deep baritone of the bullfrog and the high-pitched chattering of a raccoon. This little concert was the perfect end to his evening. The first hints of dawn were beginning to lighten the eastern sky. It was time for a mischievous raccoon to head home. He made his way back through the quiet neighborhood, his belly full and his mind buzzing with the night's escapades. He scrambled back up his ancient oak tree, back to the safety of his hollow. As he curled up to sleep, he thought about his adventure. The formidable bungee cord, the unlikely partnership with Luna the cat, the heart-pounding escape from Mr. Peterson, the acrobatic feast at the bird feeder, and the musical interlude with the frog. It had been a good night, a very good night. He closed his eyes, his striped tail curled around him like a furry blanket. As the neighborhood began to wake up, Rocky the raccoon drifted off to sleep, dreaming of all the mischief and adventure the next night would bring. Thanks for joining us on Rocky's Wild Night Out. We hope you enjoyed his suburban safari as much as we did. If you love stories about curious critters and their secret lives, make sure to hit that like button and subscribe to our channel. We've got plenty more adventures coming your way. Until next time, stay curious.